What's up, guys? I'm restarting the vlog, and we're going to continue working on Simple Calendar. Now, last 2 weeks ago, I think, I finished Simple Calendar 2.0 over the weekend. We took care of the last sort of feature that needed to be shipped on that, so we're good to go. But one thing that we noticed when I shipped this is that the Haml functionality inside Simple Calendar just doesn't want to work. Now, this is something that's actually a problem inside of Haml, and we're going to take a look at how that works. But it's really interesting, and I think we're going to be able to fix that in the gem pretty easily, but not in the cleanest way. So let's take a look at how we can do that today. So here we've got the GitHub issue for this, and it's pretty interesting. So this is what the calendar should look like normally. And you should get the links, and you should see the calendar and all the days display in the correct location. Here's what happens if you use Haml, which is really hilarious. So all of these dates are being called in the block that we pass into the calendar, this do block here. And because it's Haml, this gets called, it renders, or it tries to render the code from my template, then it goes back to Haml and renders the dates. So as it turns out, these dates get appended before the month calendar is finished and is returned. So the dates come out ahead of the calendar and they don't show up in the right spot. And this is just purely because we're jumping from Haml to ERB back to Haml. And we have sort of two solutions for that. One is to use Haml templates inside our gem. The other is to scroll down here and add the capture Haml block around the block, basically. So we would capture Haml, send it to the user's block for the day, and then capture that, and then put it back down the chain so that it doesn't get added to the template until the month calendar is finished. This is really ridiculous. I think it's kind of annoying that it works this way and you can't jump between Haml and ERB naturally, but it is what it is. So let's take a look at fixing this. I believe, let's go into, I believe that I made a Rails app here with Haml in it. Yep. And if we open up app views, meetings, index HTML Haml, that is the one with the calendar. So if we open this up in the browser, we should be able to reproduce this bug. And we do. So all the dates are up in front of the calendar and they should be underneath this. So really, if we test this out, we can do capture Haml, do, and that should do the trick. And it fixes it, but that's kind of annoying, and I don't want to force people to use this. Inside of the README, I would have to tell people to use this, and I think it's kind of a crappy way of doing that. So I think what we're going to try and do here is we're going to write some ERB inside of our templates, and then we're going to capture Haml if Haml is installed. So all of these simple calendar ERB templates that we install are going to have a little if statement around this block.call that shows up for every single day. So we'll have to check to see if Haml's installed, then we'll do one thing, otherwise we'll try another one. Now, it's important to note that this bug doesn't exist in anything aside from Haml, it seems. So it's just a weird way of the way that Haml works. So that's totally fine. Let's hop into our gem or actually let's go into these templates that I've installed and then we'll check to see if we can do this. So Haml, let's go to GitHub. Haml has a module called Haml, and this is what we're going to check to see if it's defined. So if we say if defined Haml. Then we should know that Haml is installed. And then there's also a method called like Haml template or something. I saw this method the other day, and it basically, there's a way to check to see if you're using or rendering a Haml template. Let's see if we can find what that is. Let's look up the Haml tag or the helpers. I think it's in here. So there's a method, block is Haml. Whether or not block is defined directly in a Haml template. So I believe this is what we want to do, is check to see, and block is Haml, and we can pass in the block that our user gave us, and then we can do capture Haml do end else. We can copy this and run that up there and down here. So this is really, really kind of annoying that we have to put in this if Haml stuff in here, but I believe that if we do that and we put that in our month calendar as a replacement for this, that should take care of our bug here. So let's refresh this page, and it looks like it's working. Let's remove this and just say if false and see if this goes back to being broken. And it doesn't, so let's actually go back to our index Haml and get rid of that capture Haml, because that's the thing that fixed it. So this is the weird output we were getting, and this is even worse right now because we don't want the equals in the block.calls. Those are important not to have. Those are the reason why these square brackets happen, and we don't want those. So let's update all of our templates with this code. And actually we want to go back to defined Haml, and block is Haml. And we can take this and basically update each of these. Define block is Haml, Haml, and that should be good. So this should actually work for us in case we're using Haml. And if Haml is not defined, then it should also know how to handle this. So I believe if we go to our gem file and we remove Haml and we create a new ERB template, let's run bundle, restart our Rails server. And if we refresh this, we're going to get a missing template, which is fine. We don't have an ERB template, so let's copy the Haml one, app views index or meetings index.html.erb, paste this in, and let's just delete everything out except for the calendar. So Haml's nice because really the only thing that you're missing is these percent greater than and the ends. So you can easily switch from those templates from one to the other, which is cool. So let's see, that looks correct. What does this say? Possibly useless use of variable. Well, it's not because we're using the variable, so should be fine. We can refresh this, and it doesn't crash when Haml is installed. So this defined Haml, we'll check to see if Haml exists, and then we'll know that this method is available. So otherwise, if Haml was not installed, then this line would crash, and we wouldn't be able to run capture Haml and all of that. But this should fix the bug. So yeah, that was kind of a weird thing, but at least we have a solution here. So I'm going to go open up simple calendar, and let's just go into our app views calendar replace that, and week calendar can also replace that. So what's nice is we're not going to force you to have Haml installed. We'll check to see if Haml is installed, and then we'll do some special stuff for it. And that's really it. So these are going to be, a little longer, a little messier, but it does fix the bug that the people have complained about quite a lot, I would say. It was about, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago almost, that this was first reported broken. We got a nice fix really quickly within about a day. But I think it's important that we fix this bug anyways and make sure that we release a new version. So let's add these to Git. And then let's say, what number is this? Number 107. Check if Haml is installed and fixes number 107. Or let's git commit. Fixes number 107. Checks to see if Haml is installed and block is from a Haml template. Captures the block output inside the ERB partial and returns the whole template. Back to the original one. So that's really what's happening. We check to see if Haml's installed. We make sure the block came from a Haml template. Then we capture the block's output inside the ERB partial from our gem, and then we return the whole partial back to the place where you originally called month calendar. And that's it. So last but not least, we need to go to version.rb. We'll add a new bug fix release and commit that, and we can run rake release, and because I'm the owner of the gem, I can run this command and then it will package it up with the new version number and publish it to rubygems.org. So which I love GitHub, the fixes, anytime you say closes or fixes and the number sign for the GitHub issue, it will automatically close it for you, which is amazing. So let's let everybody know. I just updated the templates that come with the gem to handle the capture Haml. Cool. So we have successfully knocked out that bug. So then Simple Calendar 2.0 should be good to go, as far as I know, for most of these things that we wanted to do with the rewrite of Simple Calendar 2.0. So yeah, all of the stuff has been updated, finalized. We published it. Haml is kind of annoying in the way that it works, but really, if you want to learn more about sort of how this works, it's basically just taking and creating its own text file, and it's running each of these lines and pushing them to this big text file that will be what's sent back to the Rails server. And so when we go into a partial and do a block and then call this again, that output just goes straight to the big file. And then this code finishes, which goes back to the big file. And that's why it was out of order. So they must have some sort of global template concept going on inside the gem to organize the output of the Haml templates, which is really interesting. I don't think that ERB or Slim works that way. I've never run into this kind of issue before. But I also don't use Haml very much, so this could also be something that's an issue between other things. If you're going from, ERB to Haml, maybe that is a thing too. This block sort of format that I'm doing from things seems a little uncommon to go from Haml to ERB templates and passing blocks in between them. So what we're doing is kind of interesting. It's turned out to be pretty simple, and hopefully we'll be able to, refactor this code a little bit. I still rather would have this code inside the view than pulling it out into a template or a helper method, because I don't want to abstract this for people who want to customize these things. So this maybe could get pulled out into a helper method reasonably easily, because honestly, this isn't very, there isn't much magic going on here, but at the same time too, I think it's fine to have that in there. And if it gets more complicated, like we have to add in other special helpers for Slim or whatever. Slim doesn't have the problem, but imagine another templating engine does. Once we hit that, then it's time to probably look at refactoring this. But for now, it's simple enough, and I think we can all kind of understand it, especially if you look at the history, or rather the blame. You'll be able to see like this chunk of code came from this commit, and we can look back and see what the issue was and kind of figure that out and work backwards if we need to. So yeah. That is today's episode. If you have more stuff you want to hack on Simple Calendar or more ideas, let me know. We'll do more screencasts. Peace.